The Pop Culture Preservation Society is sponsored by Remind Magazine. If you love the deep dives we do here, you'll feel right at home with Remind. Each issue is a curated celebration of the movies, music, and TV legends that shaped our lives, all packaged in an actual magazine with groovy photos, fun articles, vintage trivia, and those old school puzzles that keep the memories sharp. From the icons of the small and silver screen to the Saturday morning cartoons and toys you never forgot, Remind is dedicated to keeping nostalgia alive and well. And as an exclusive offer to PCPS listeners, get a full year of Remind magazine for just $12. That's 86% off the cover price by using this URL to order. remindmagazine.com/pop. That's remindmagazine.com/POP. Don't just remember the past, reclaim it. Subscribe today and bring a little more then into your now.
If you like what you hear, let us know by becoming an official supporter of the Pop Culture Preservation Society on Patreon. This show is created, researched, produced, distributed, edited, and paid for by us, Kristen, Carolyn, and Michelle. And your support allows us to keep the lights on and keep on trucking. For the price of 1 or 2 cups of coffee a month, you can become a supporter by going to poppreservationists.com and clicking on the Patreon link. Or go to our link in bio on Instagram and find the Patreon link in our link tree. We appreciate you and thank you so much for helping us do what we love.
You know when it's right, you know when you feel it, baby. You hold it, you hear it, you taste it, it's right. Pepsi Light, You got the right one, baby. Unsurpassably quotable and intimately soulful. You got the right one, baby.
Welcome, everyone. It's time to pop open another light and refreshing conversation. Let's all do it. Right?
I'm such a rule follower. When she says everybody does, I'm like, okay.
I know. We all just pretended like we were popping open the can. Another light and refreshing conversation with a hint of lime that is unscripted and we hope unedited and low on calories and possibly even content while we are in between seasons. And you know what, you guys, aren't we so nice? Most podcasts just leave you out in the cold in between seasons.
Mm-hmm.
No, but not here at the Pop Culture Preservation Society. We know you need your pop culture fix and we deliver. Always.
Even sometimes in an underwhelming way. You're welcome.
Right. That is correct. Yeah. Okay, so today we're talking about my biggest crush in 1986. No, it's not Nick Foxhoven. Andrew McCarthy. If you listened to our great Pretty in Pink episode way back when, you all know what that movie meant to me and still does. Especially goofy-looking, mumbling, bumbling, not all that nice, if I'm being honest, Blaine. The amount of nipple lightning that library scene gave me was enough to get me through years of not having a boyfriend, let me tell you.
Oh, that's sweet.
But I digress. You guys, last week, much to 1986 Michelle's amazement, I met and talked and got my picture with Andrew McCarthy.
That's right. Those are the
fireworks. I'm pausing here.
Things.
Thank you so much, because I am pausing here for the adequate response from you guys and our fellow listeners. I'm just going to pause for a little bit more while the listeners are all screaming.
Okay. I'm doing more fireworks.
Thank you. Pop, 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 pop. Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. The big ones. Okay. Like the finale fireworks. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But so besides being an actor and director, Andrew McCarthy is an accomplished and award-winning travel writer. Some of you might not really know that. He's served, actually, at editor-at-large for National Geographic Traveler magazine, and he's written for a lot of other travel periodicals, and he was named the Travel Journalist of the Year in 2010.
I didn't know
that's
that.
Pretty good, right?
Nice.
He has several books. I highly recommend his book, Walking with Sam, from 2023. It's a memoir about walking the Camino de Santiago with his son, Sam, who those Dead to Me fans, that was Charlie in Dead to Me, he walked that in the summer of 2021. And I listened to the Audible. It's so good because it's Sam's voice for all of Sam's dialogue and parts. So it's both of them.
That's
so you
awesome.
actually kind of get that they're having the conversation. It's super, super good. His new book, Who Needs Friends, documents his travel across the United States. He drove 10,000 miles and he went to 40 cities to reconnect with old friends. And it really turned into an exploration of male friendship. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you today about. Last week, his tour brought him to Denver, to Tattered Cover Bookstore. And you better believe I got the tickets the day they went on sale. I took my husband, who thankfully supports all past Michelle's crushes. Maybe not Nick Foxhoven, but you guys, we were both so happily astonished by how engaging and funny and talkative and captivating and interesting Andrew McCarthy is. Oh, and shocked, a little bit shocked.
Because that's not always the way he comes off.
He doesn't.
Our last
you guys
kind of interaction with him, via the Brat movie, he was going through some stuff, let's just say. And
I would say, so another, yes, of course, we have an episode for that. Not Pretty in Pink, but the Brat documentary from last summer. And that's a great episode too. He was a bit, should we say reserved, aloof?
I always say dour. He was dour.
Distant, maybe a little distant.
Yeah.
Kind of quiet. He kind of went back to that mumbly Blaine a little bit. But seeing him in person, he was so much fun. He's a storyteller. And that's what he really is proud of about all of his books and all of his travel writings. It's not just where to go. He actually answered a question like this. He's very conscious when he's writing of not it just being and here and here and here and, descriptions. It's weaving in stories and meaning into all of these places. And that's what he did. He talked for a solid hour. They had to cut him off at an hour so that we could get our book signed.
Yeah.
And this is the best part of the story. When we sat down, they told us to write our names on the paper slip in the book so he'd see who to sign it for. And I jokingly said to Brian, well, I want him to ask me to prom in my book. But, no, he's not going to have time. It's probably against the rules. They're just going to be, it was packed.
Not time to go to prom or not time to write one that you should go to prom?
Not time to sign my book. I'm like, this is going to be one of those, you have to write your name in. He's going to write who it's to. And then it's move on. Smile, take a picture, and move on.
Fast.
Because it was packed in there. I mean, there was probably 150 people or more in there. But I very quickly saw that he not only ignored the big table and chair to sit and sign at, he stood in front of it and he was greeting everybody, standing up, giving hugs, listening to people. Somebody brought all his books for him to sign. So he's signing all of them. And I was in 3 groups back. So I'm just kind of watching all of this. And I was seeing how he was like a super attentive listener to everybody. And so I write on my paper, Michelle, and then underneath it, I wrote, want to go to prom. Because I thought if I asked him to write, feel any better if I ask you to prom, which is what Blaine actually says to Andy in the middle of the street in front of her house, that'd be a little bit too much of an ask. So I'm going to show you guys, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see this. But I'm going to show Carolyn and Kristen what I wrote in my
very
want to go to
legible.
prom. So I get in line and it's my turn. And I really wasn't that nervous. And I was telling Brian, he kept asking, are you nervous? Are you nervous? And I was like,
Brian.
I don't think so, because I think having been doing the podcast for 5.5 years, we've met so many celebrities. Like, you all will remember my story of meeting Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
That I couldn't, my heart was beating so hard I thought you could see it. So I put both hands on my chest because I was so embarrassed. And I had a great question. And all I could do was go, hi, Rob Lowe. And it came out like I couldn't talk. So I walk up, and I will say that my adrenaline was pumping, obviously. He looked a little short to me, but I have discovered he's apparently 5'9", but and I'm 5'8", but I thought he looked a little short. But he grabs my book, and I say, hi, it's such an honor to meet you. But he starts to open his Sharpie, and I want to make sure he knows that I'm not asking him to prom on my paper because it says, Michelle, want to go to prom. So I say, hi, my name is Michelle. And you guys know me. I'm probably like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hi, my name is Michelle, but can you also write want to go to prom? And you guys, he already has it open and he's starting to write, and he does this adorable Andrew McCarthy chuckle, and he goes, "Oh, Michelle."
Oh, God. Oh,
And
God,
you guys,
my heart just squeezed a little bit. It just squeezed a little bit.
1986's Michelle's heart stopped.
Mhm.
Like, I died
Mhm.
standing up right there. And then it was kind of awkward because I was like, haha, and I have like video of it, and I'm like clasping my hands and kind of doing this weird little dance thing.
You're doing it right now. I'm like, what are you doing?
And then he goes, and as he's signing, I just go, it would make 1986 Michelle so happy. So I'm going to show you guys my, and he has very terrible handwriting, but it says, Michelle, want to go to prom.
That's awesome.
And oh my God. And you guys, that was about it. I did say, I did tell him that that I loved walking with Sam, and the Audible was so, and the audiobook was so incredible, how it had his son's voice in it. It was kind of funny when he was talking to us. He was talking about writing that book and about the walk on the
El Camino.
El Camino.
Thank you. And the walk on the El Camino. And his phone started ringing on the little podium. And he looked down and he's like, "Oh, wouldn't you know it? That's Sam calling me right now." It's like he knew.
He's so human.
And he literally just hit it off. Like, he's like, "I can talk to him later." But then, of course, much like with Rob Lowe, I leave. And now my adrenaline, I can start to feel it. And the bookstore lady was taking pictures. Mine are not that good. Whatever. It's fine. But of course, then I look back and there comes Brian, cool as a cucumber, one hand in his pocket. I can overhear they're talking about writing. Gives him a shake, a little bro pat on the shoulder. And I'm like, what? So Brian gets his picture. And then all of a sudden I think, oh, I want one with both of us with him. So I say, oh, is there time? Could we get, because there's still a line of like 100, 80 people behind us. And I was like, to the bookstore lady, oh, there's probably not time for us to get one of both of us, right? And she's about to hand my phone or hand the phone back. And Andrew McCarthy's like, no, come on, let's do it. So the best picture we actually have, and I'll put this in the Weekly Reader. No, we're not doing Weekly Readers doing that. And I'll share this on social media or on our Patreon. Which should I share it with, do you think? Patreon page? I think Patreon.
Patreon would be great, yes. So we can just talk about Patreon.
Yes, and I'm going to share all of this stuff, the pictures, the way he signed my book. I'll put it in on our Patreon page this week, so all of our Patreon supporters can kind of see that. But that's the picture that came out great. But anyway, that was it. And that's my story. And I got to meet Blaine. And what's funny is I have a Pretty in Pink movie poster on the wall in my office, my childhood museum. And when I got home, I looked at it and I was like, he doesn't look anything like that. Brian's like, neither do you. Like, you don't look anything. Like, yes, really. Like, did you expect that? I was like, no. And the funny thing is I am not, I think I've told you guys before, that probably year and a half that I was just infatuated with Andrew McCarthy, which kind of started, I think, with Pretty in Pink, and probably lasted about a year. It wasn't as much that he was super cute. He's part of this brat pack, but for 1985, 86-ish into probably the beginning of 87, he was what I felt was attainable for me.
Right.
Like Rob Lowe, of course I loved Rob Lowe, but I was like, he's way too pretty and he's way too cool for me to even like crush on. Like I needed it to be Andrew McCarthy, and there was something about that library scene in Pretty in Pink that just made me all aflutter. And I will say, even throughout the years, I've never really looked at Andrew McCarthy like, oh my God, he's so hot. I have such a crush on him. It was like the whole, the whole package. And so I was just, and I was just super, super happy to hear how funny he was and how, what a great storyteller and engaging, and made me think, you know what, I think we could and should see if he wants to come talk to us one day.
I thought you were going to say, maybe we should end up together.
Wait, I lost you. What did you say?
I thought you were going to say, maybe we should end up together.
Oh my God, that's so funny. No, in fact,
good. There's still time.
No, it was never, I don't know. It was just, he was such an important part of like a year of my life. Mm-hmm. And that movie, I think it's more that just that movie to me is such an important part of my high school life. That it was really cool to have that experience. Just
I like
meeting
taking
him.
a look at him as your crush, and trying to figure out if you were in love with Blaine or if you were in love with Andrew McCarthy and what that says. Because you talked about, how that made you feel like such a normal person in the midst of not having a boyfriend. I think that was the case for so many people, right? And he was one of the cool kids and he was adorable, but he wasn't perfection like Rob Lowe, like Soda Pop in The Outsiders or any of those movies.
Right.
He had that vulnerability and he had, I think this is something that men and the media misses, is that women like a little bit of vulnerability.
Yep.
You can't be perfect. You can't be perfect. It's too much. It's too much. And it's not real.
And like I said in our Pretty in Pink episode, where we do detail and we bring receipts on times where Blaine's not that nice to Andy. And like I say in that episode, I did not really get that in 1986, 87, probably the next 2 decades that I was rewatching that movie. I did love Blaine, except for, always thought the ending, the wig was bad. And he admits the wig is really bad.
Is really, really bad.
But it wasn't until I was a grown-ass woman that I realized there's times when he's not so nice. He kind of redeems himself by the end. But, so was it Andrew McCarthy or was it Blaine? I think it was probably both, but probably a little bit more Blaine.
It's driven by Blaine. Yeah.
I will say I was very happy at this book signing that everybody there, and again, I'm not going to know how many people were there. I'm bad at estimating sizes of crowds, but I don't know. It was big. But everybody understood the assignment. He did took so many questions, and nobody asked him about Brat Pack or Pretty in Pink or anything like that. And I was really happy about that. He referenced it once or twice. There was many men in the audience, but he definitely referenced, I'm sure most of you are here because of those movies I did in the 80s or something like that. But nobody did until until I walk up in 1986. Michelle was like, "Would you please sign my book about?" And it's a book about male friendship. It's not like the book he has called Brat, which I also have signed by him, but I ordered it signed, so it just has his signature. Yeah. I go up in the book about male friendship, traveling across America to reconnect with his friends. I'm like, could you sign? I don't want to go to prom.
Were you actually instructed not to talk about the Brat Pack or those movies? Or people were just knowing from, people who would show up or get a ticket for an event like that, they're watching on social media, they're listening to his interviews, and so maybe they're intuiting that that's not why we're here. He doesn't want to talk about Pretty in Pink. He wants to talk about his grown-up work. Do you think?
I do. I think everybody was just being really respectful of what he's done with most of his career. I mean, he's still acting, obviously, not as much as he was. But another thing that was interesting is I would say the demographic. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think the average age was probably my age, average. So there were plenty of people older, like in their late 60s, and plenty of people younger. So it wasn't like it was all Gen Xers. There was a lot of older couples there, which in my mind, I said to Brian, I was like, do you think a lot of these people just are like, hey, on Friday night, let's see if anyone's signing books at Tattered Cover.
Well, you know what?
I don't know.
I want to speak up for Andrew. I'm going to say that those people are retired, they travel, and they've read his travel pieces.
Yeah,
and
they could be fans of him as a travel writer.
For his writing, because I think he is a superb writer. And I think, too, the reason he might have been so energetic and engaging and all of that is that's really what he loves doing. And he's so good at it. So to speak about, those topics and be in front of you all as a writer and not necessarily as an actor in, John Hughes movies or whatever, I think that's pretty powerful. Not to mention, I have not finished the book, but I have listened to some podcasts that he has been on. And one very great episode, we're going to plug a friend of ours, but not because she's our friend. But he was recently on an episode of Dear Nina, and Nina Badzin is a good friend of ours.
Sorry,
what is that? It sounds like a wash.
There's hail, you guys. And I have a tile roof.
Yeah,
we could. Okay, listeners, just know if it sounds like my house is blowing away, it is. So we're just going to keep on moving.
No, but you guys be careful. I saw the severe weather that's coming to Minneapolis today. It's no joke.
It is no joke. Yeah, and I'm watching it out because at first I thought it was Carolyn's laptop. I'm
I
like,
did
oh
too.
no, her fan is going. And then I'm like, no, it's above my head.
Well, and my husband's doing laundry, so I was like,
Good
are you?
Lord, you guys.
And it's a
careful,
lot
though,
louder
because
in your
it's-
ears, Miss Kristen, than
Okay,
it is
good.
in ours.
It's really
I don't
loud
even
in
hear it.
Oh, I hear it
You
loud.
don't hear it?
Loudly.
Well, I don't hear it at all.
Oh, yeah. No, it's loud. It sounds like
I'm
pounding
going to
rain.
mute myself until I want to speak. Does that
Well, she
sound...
can take
you know
your
what?
track out when you're not talking.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I can do that. And
Okay.
like you did last time, you know what, listeners? This is real stuff, and this is a PCPS light.
It's hail.
Remember,
It's hail.
it's light on editing as
hail.
well. And if Kristen gets like whisked away in a tornado, you will have been
You'll want to join Patreon so you can see that.
Yes.
Wait, I'm also a little bit concerned because I think you're in your attic. You should be in your basement.
I'm gonna, well, that's for tornadoes. Hold on.
I
I'm
know,
going to
but
go look out the window.
I
I'll
think
tell
you
you if I
guys are-
see a tornado.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Well, gosh, Maggie is at her first dress fitting right now in St.
Aw.
Paul. So, yeah, I hope she doesn't do anything with her wedding dress. I guess it stays at the woman's house now, so she won't have to worry about transporting it.
Yep, that's hail.
Yeah,
How big is it?
It looks to be like 2 peas. Like each one is 2 peas. I mean, who
Okay.
knows? I'm way up in the attic, so it's hard to tell. But it's not like golf ball or anything like that.
Okay.
Okay, well, stay safe. Okay, so
Thank you.
yeah, so our friend Nina has a great episode with Andrew, and we'll link it in the show notes, right?
Yes.
I would
And I
assume.
think
it's so informative. It's such a
it
good
is.
topic too. So I wouldn't be surprised if people in the audience, when you were at Tattered Cover, were there because they're interested in male friendship or friendship, just the topic in general, because it was a really
point, yeah.
interesting conversation that Andrew and Nina had. And Nina is so just up on all the things about friendship and connections
The
and all that. So
research
they
and
have
whatnot.
an
Yeah.
in-depth conversation and back it up with research.
Oh my God, sorry. Okay,
I am
everybody,
hearing
let's
that.
all cover Kristen right now.
I know, right?
Should I look
Oh
at
my
your
God.
radar?
Yeah, I'm not good at looking at the radar. It's just
Let me look.
special weather statement. These conditions
If you're in your
started-
attic recording a podcast, immediately go get out of it.
Go to the basement.
Rain stopping briefly. Rain is expected to stop in 10 minutes and then start again 6 minutes later is what. Yeah.
Why
That's
do
not
we
much.
need to know
there's
that?
my radar. Yeah, it's going to be brief. Well, as long as it
We'll just
doesn't
keep going.
disrupt.
Yeah,
Can
and
you hear
again-
me, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
All right.
I mean, weather is weird today because you guys, we've had in Denver, we've had snow, measurable snow twice all winter. And
winter.
and by
Oh my
measurable, I mean it was like 5 inches, but then it was completely melted the next day. And the past, I would say 2 months, it's been in the high 70s. So all of our flowers have come up, all the perennials, all the trees are bloomed, our peonies are blooming, whatever. Today, it's a hard freeze, and it has been snowing for the past 3 hours. And but this is a Friday, listeners. But by Sunday, it's 75. And Monday, 78. So it's
It
just
was
weird.
92 here
83.
a couple days ago.
We
It was
had 83
92.
yesterday,
Isn't
and
that so
today
weird?
it's going to be in the 30s.
So I've covered all our perennials, all my peonies are covered in sheets right now. One thing I would like to say is that, like, they did under the people in the audience asking questions understood the assignment, asking about the book and his travels and his experience. But he's such a great storyteller. And that's what the book is like too. He's putting the humanity into this, what turned into this, I think it was like a 3-week trip, 6-week trip. I'm forgetting now, but it was 40 cities. There's a map in the first cover of the book that shows the zigzag of everywhere he went because he doesn't like to drive. He doesn't like to drive on freeways, highways. So he takes the road less traveled always. So he never has a reservation. He always just finds a motel. He finds diners. And then he started going up and talking to people like these old timers in West Texas who he could tell meet at this one diner every morning. And they have for years and years. Talks about pulling up to this old motel. He's sitting outside. He said only once did he leave because he was like, I'm not gonna stay here. But he said, this big burly guy fixing his Harley outside, and he's sitting there next to him, got his feet up on the other chair, and they're having a conversation. They start talking about friendship. And somebody did ask him, did any of these people know who you were? And I was kind of wondering that too. And I thought it was interesting. He said, a few, but he said, when you see me out of context, not a lot of people recognize me. He said, if I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard, sure, because people maybe or they're always on the lookout to see, is that a star? But he said, if I'm walking in, Abilene, Texas, or, someplace in the Mississippi Delta, people don't know. And he said, if they ask specifically, are you that guy from the movies or his name? He says yes. But if they say, you look familiar, he always just says, I have a familiar face.
Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm. He's really humble. Yeah.
Yeah. And it gives us stories like that really gives us an insight, like a peek into his world, like what it's like to be Andrew McCarthy, what it's like to have a life. Because, he has a home and a family and kids, and he does school drop off, right? He's done all the things that we do too. And it's sort of like us stars, they're just like us, but they're not like us. Even if they were stars a long time ago or whatever, they have to do things differently. And this shows us how he does it. And everyone also has a different degree of fame. And this shows us what his degree of fame is. That some people on Hollywood Boulevard know exactly who he is, but in a diner in West Texas, he just has a familiar face. I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
I also want to go back to Nina's podcast because it was so good. Again, understanding the assignment. They talked only about the book. They didn't talk about his life as a teenager, essentially, a new adult in the 80s. That was not part of the conversation. And that kind of busted things open for me because when people were talking about it, we were like, oh, we are in like Flynn. We are going to get an interview with him so easily because we have his target demographic. Anybody who is a fan of Andrew McCarthy is listening to us right now, and we can tell people about his book. Of course, he's going to want to come on this podcast. And then after listening to Nina's conversation, I realized, no, he's not going to want to come on this podcast because he doesn't want to talk about prom.
No.
Understandably, I totally get it. And we had this great idea where we wanted to have a conversation with him, not manufactured, but because we are truly interested in discussing the friendship dynamics in Pretty in Pink between Blaine and Steph in particular. I want to pull that apart. I think that's fascinating. Now I know he doesn't want to talk about that. That's not a part of his life right now. He's moved far beyond that. And so if we were to send him that pitch, that would probably be a no. Now, I think we can still have that conversation if we want to, right? We can still tell people about his book, and we can still address Steph and Blaine as a role in it. It's just not what he wants to do because he doesn't live in that place anymore.
Well, it's also, Steph and Blaine for sure, but think about St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh my God.
Think about his character in St. Elmo's Fire. He's just kind of always smoking. They all think he's gay. He has the crush on, why am I forgetting her name right now?
Sheedy?
Thank you, Ali Sheedy. He has the crush on Ali Sheedy. Demi Moore's character, who is so messed up, just clings to him, that friendship. So the friendships in St. Elmo's Fire for sure, but even think about the male friendships in that are really interesting, especially I've always found his character especially interesting. Go all the way back to Class with Rob Lowe, which was one of his first ones. So, you think about that one with, that's Jacqueline Bisset, right? The mother.
Yep.
In that. And so, their roommate or their roommates and like good friends in college, and then now I'm forgetting which one has the.
I know, I can't remember. Okay,
well,
scratch that.
One of the things I wanted.
We'll just say that
about,
going back to Class. Yeah.
One of the things that he talks about in depth on Nina's podcast that I wanted to address was how. Really, the whole reason this book even became a book was because he wanted to reconnect with his, basically childhood high school friends. And it became like a goal for him to do that. And then in the course of trying to do that, that was almost before he had the idea for a book. Then as he tried to meet up with them and reconnect, that kind of opened up this idea of writing this book because he decided, I'm going to go find these people and I'm going to purposely reconnect. And I know that I've shared with you guys how important that has been for me. And one of the reasons I decided that if I'm going to move back out to the East Coast, that's going to be a goal that I have. And I can't speak enough to the what do I want to say? The gift that is. And so if you're out there and there's a friend you had from high school or earlier or college and you've just, fallen out of touch, or maybe you're Facebook friends and that's the extent of it, the physical act of reconnecting and seeing each other in real life is pretty powerful. And so he addresses that and talks about why that meant so much to him. And I encourage all of our listeners, if you have that opportunity, to grab hold of it, because I can tell you.
Especially now, like we are in our 50s, we are in our late 50s, we are coming into our 60s. This is even a more important time for us to reconnect with those people, because you have to remove all artifice. And I did a welcome at my college reunion this summer. They asked me to welcome people, and it was just so lovely to look around the room and see that we're all in the same place. Like we all have neck wrinkles. All of us do. And I thought, isn't that lovely?
Yes.
Because it's very rare that you're in a room with all of people your own age. It's very rare that you're with somebody who's exactly your same age. And you can look at each other and you have no expectations for them to be anything other but what age they are. They have to have neck wrinkles. And if the person across from you has neck wrinkles, that means that my neck wrinkles are normal. And there's nothing, I don't have to fix my neck wrinkles. Whereas when you meet up with people, when you have estrogen, it's different, because estrogen makes all of the difference. I think it cracks me up when people are like, oh, she looks great for 40. I'm like, whatever, she has estrogen.
Right.
When you are still in an estrogen mode, you can still worry about your appearance and whether you're thin enough or whether your hair is luscious enough or whatever. You're still wondering how you look for fill in the age. She looks great for 35. She looks great for 40. She looks great for 45. When you get past estrogen stage, that all goes away. It does not matter, because you can't beat the neck wrinkles without paying like way too much money. It involves knives and things like that, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. But also, I want to piggyback on that. When you talked about the reason that he went on this trip was to reconnect with those childhood friends, the thing that really hooked me in that story is that the reason he wanted to connect with his friends was because his son said, yeah, Dad, you don't really have any friends, do you? And he's like, what? No, I have friends. He's like, yeah, who, Dad?
Yeah.
And so there's this, although it's a stereotype, there is also some truth to it that oftentimes men are not as good at keeping up with their friendships as women are, particularly if we move to different locations. Women are more communicative and we check in with each other, and we used to talk on the phone. People don't really talk on the phone anymore, but and Carolyn's writing letters, right? Men just, they might be able to see each other again and pick up right up where they left behind. What am I saying? Right up, pick up right up where
they left off?
Yeah, it's the hail. Where they left off, there, thank you. But the keeping up is not very good. And his kid got under his skin.
Yeah, he tells a lot of funny stories that are kind of stereotypical, but true, where he does talk a lot about, he's a solitary person. He likes being by himself. He likes his own company. He'd almost prefer to hang out by himself, to be honest. But he says, men, they need something to do. They don't just hang out. He's like, women can just go and drink coffee together and be for like 3 hours. But he said, men, you got to play golf, or you got to be watching a game, or you got to be. So he says, like his one friend, they're watching the baseball game, and every once in a while, they'd be like, no, that was a ball. So how's that back? And then be like, he wasn't out. You still taking that med? Or whatever. But he also says, he doesn't really like golf, but he did. One time he goes and he plays golf, and you're there for like 3.5, 4 hours. Comes back home, and his wife is like, how's Kevin? I'm just making this part up, guys. Yeah. This is how I remember the story. Like, how's Kevin? He's like, oh, he's good, he's fine. And his wife says, oh my gosh, how's Nancy? Let's say that's Kevin's wife. How's Nancy? And Andrew's like, oh, I'm sure she's good. She's fine. She's like, and she made it through this last round of chemo, okay? And, Andrew would be like, I guess, I don't know. Well, didn't he say? No. Did you ask how she's doing? She's had cancer for like the past 2 years and no, we didn't talk about that.
It's fascinating.
What do you talk about? You talk about the weather. You talk about the scores of the games.
Mm-hmm.
But that is so true that, sometimes Brian will come home or he'll, the past 2 years, he goes on a ski trip with his best friend from college, who was one of my best friends in college as well. And he happens to be married to my college roommate. So it's all very kind of college ancestral. And I say to him all the time, they'll come back from 3 days. And I will ask him very specific questions about their kids, who we know, who are, we've known since they were born, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know.
And how
what's Luke thinking about majoring in?
Yeah.
What's Luke thinking about majoring in?
So,
I don't know.
I want to address that in that I think he talks about it in the podcast. And I think, Kristen, you mentioned it before, but just, men being vulnerable, or males, even boys to some extent, which, okay, I'm going to take a little off ramp here, but I think this was so cute. And when does this change? I was walking behind these 2 boys who are probably in 2nd grade 2 days ago. And they were just on this path a little bit in front of me, and they're just kind of going along. And then one grabs the other one's hand. So they're like holding hands. And he said, let's just walk around and look at nature. Okay. And then they just got go along. And then they dropped hands, but they're just having a great time. And it just struck me. I wanted to run up and just go, this is so sweet. So at some point, you're not kind of grabbing your best friend's hand and saying, let's go for a walk and look at nature. Like when, I'd be interested to know when that happens. And also, this is kind of an aside, but kind of not. Listeners, if you follow us on Threads particularly, I had reposted recently a segment of an episode of Anderson Cooper's podcast, and my boyfriend, Hall Pass, whatever, Dak Shepard was on, and they was talking about just when his father was dying, and he had a very, his father had left when he was young, and so it was a really cathartic story for him to share. But he cried while he was sharing it. And so I shared this clip on Threads and just said, this is what real men look like or something. You guys, we got 14,000 likes on me reposting that. Yes. And comments as well. So it really hit something, and not just women. It hit a lot of nerves, I guess, with people. And so it's like this thing we know. And when we see it exhibited by somebody that's brave enough to do that, everybody recognizes like, yes, this is what we want. This is what we need. But yet,
it's
we're
trained
not.
out of them. It's really, it makes it so difficult. And even in our own relationships, like I know everybody has done this. Everyone has done this where you're like poking your spouse, your partner to go further, to get deeper, to like stop with the quipping. We're not quipping right now. We're not making jokes right now. Keep going. Say something real. Please say something real. There is this wall that goes up that might keep men from being friends in the way that women are. And women are friends in a way that is life-giving. I had a friend of mine recently had to break to her adult daughter. She was complaining about the behavior of some man, a partner, somebody's partner who was just, again, that wall went up. And so my friend broke the news to her. She's like, I need to tell you this right now. You will not be able to count on your husband to support you in that way. You need to lean on your female friends. That's what your female friends are for, because they have those skills to be able to support you when the men put the wall up. Mm-hmm. That gets very, very real. And it speaks to the importance of this book that he's written, where at the very least, no matter how far he was able or not able to get, it's just bringing up the topic that this is something we need to explore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a great place to end, because that's exactly what, even on the inside cover, of the book. Kristen, what you just said is exactly what this book is about. It says, what began as a simple desire to catch up with a few friends turned into a deep exploration of the challenges and rewards that men experience in forming bonds with each other. In McCarthy's own words, it turns out that a lot of guys have a difficult time with friendship. And so it's a really great book for women to read too, I think, because it helps us understand our husbands, our partners, our brothers, our whoever's, friendships, and that we're all different, right? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus type of thing. I'm going to put a link to Who Needs Friends in our bookshop.org shop. We highly encourage everybody to order your books from bookshop.org if you don't have a local independent bookstore near you. And if you do, gosh, we highly recommend taking an afternoon to yourself and going and visiting your independent bookstore. It's just such a treat and a delight. And the people who work in independent bookstores know so much. Like, they can help you. They can help you.
They are so cool.
They're cool.
Aren't they cool?
They are so cool.
But everything that's in our bookshop.org shop are books that we've picked ourselves. We've curated. However, there's thousands more in bookshop.org. And so you can just go there, and for every sale, we get a tiny bit of profit.
Compensation. A little bit of compensation.
But that
some
always
pennies
helps.
in our cup.
Helps us keep on trucking. And so we sure appreciate it.
In the meantime, are we wrapping it up? In the meantime, wait. Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, let's raise our glasses for a toast, courtesy of the Cast of Three's company. 2 good times.
2 happy days.
To Little House on the Prairie. Cheers.
Cheers. The information, opinions, and comments expressed on the Pop Culture Preservation Society podcast belong solely to Carolyn, the Crushologist, and Hello Newman, and are in no way representative of our employers or affiliates. And though we truly believe we are always right, there's always a first time. The PCPS is written, produced, and recorded in Minneapolis, Minnesota, home of the fictional WJM Studios and our beloved Mary Richards. Nanu Nanu, keep on trucking, and may the force be with you.
The Pop Culture Preservation Society is sponsored by Remind Magazine. If you love the deep dives we do here, you'll feel right at home with Remind. Each issue is a curated celebration of the movies, music, and TV legends that shaped our lives, all packaged in an actual magazine with groovy photos, fun articles, vintage trivia, and those old school puzzles that keep the memories sharp. From the icons of the small and silver screen to the Saturday morning cartoons and toys you never forgot, Remind is dedicated to keeping nostalgia alive and well. And as an exclusive offer to PCPS listeners, get a full year of Remind magazine for just $12. That's 86% off the cover price by using this URL to order. remindmagazine.com/pop. That's remindmagazine.com/POP. Don't just remember the past, reclaim it. Subscribe today and bring a little more then into your now.
If you like what you hear, let us know by becoming an official supporter of the Pop Culture Preservation Society on Patreon. This show is created, researched, produced, distributed, edited, and paid for by us, Kristen, Carolyn, and Michelle. And your support allows us to keep the lights on and keep on trucking. For the price of 1 or 2 cups of coffee a month, you can become a supporter by going to poppreservationists.com and clicking on the Patreon link. Or go to our link in bio on Instagram and find the Patreon link in our link tree. We appreciate you and thank you so much for helping us do what we love.